You're listening to
The Outcast Frequency.
an hour of music, myth, and mayhem for the misfits. Hosted by yours truly,
The Master of Mischief.
Greetings folks and welcome back to the Outcast Frequency. Coming up on this week's show, we've got some cool and interesting and unusual music for you, and we've also got an exclusive interview with a band called Secret Idol, and we're going to be talking to the singer, creative director and songwriter of that band, who goes by the name of Secret. But let's kick things off with some music. This is Comatose Almost with a song called Fever Dream. Wow, that was Comatose Almost with a track called Fever Dream. Now let me tell you a little bit about them. They're from Pennsylvania. They're a three-piece band. As you can tell from the style, it's sort of a pop-punk, metal-ish type of thing. Two of them are actually brothers. They started playing back in 2006, just playing some live shows and doing some recording. They record in their own studio, their home studio, and then they upload to most digital platforms. They've been releasing on Bandcamp since 2018, so you can go right back and listen to some of their earlier work if you fancy it. Their Instagram account is comatose_almost, and they are on Bandcamp and Facebook as under the same name. Their newest album just came out on October the 4th, and Fever Dream, they described it as one of their more catchier tracks. It has real singing and lyrics. It's the second track on that new album, which is called Look at Yourself, and they used a new software this time on this record and better equipment in the hopes that the whole album would sound a little bit better and crisper and clearer, and they were really trying to pay attention to the lyrics this time too. So they're very proud of that track, and it sounds pretty good to me. So that was Comatose Almost. Do go check them out on Bandcamp. As I said, they have a new album out, which is called Look at Yourself. Now, if you tuned in to last week's show, you may remember a band called Death Wears You Well. They are back with us again this week with their latest single, Road to Regression. The song is off their forthcoming album, Eternal Frame, which is going to be coming out in February of next year. So they've currently been releasing a lot of singles off the album. This is their third one so far, and as I said, it's called Road to Regression.
We build our roads, not warning signs, but the sky cracked open, and the air went quiet. Water's rising, and no one's listening. I see it in real time, but this can't be happening. They said if we don't leave now, then we'll never leave. Collapse is imminent. This record sign. We're told to run for our lives, but in which direction? We're told the storm will just pass over, but it's growing with it. There's no path but gone when the levee's broken. I'm left in the violence, praying to try to scream, but the fear echoes cold. Try to break to only sink into the flood. Sandbags stacked around my every thought, but it takes courage just to give you into it. We're told to run for our lives, but in which direction? We're told the storm will just pass over, but it's growing with us. There's no path but gone when the levee's broken. I'm left in the violence, praying to silence. We built our homes out of warning signs, but the sky cracked open and the air went quiet. The pain is static, the fear is real. Every question panics, will I get out of here? The exit tide swallows my every step, but I was never done through sweat. We're told to run for
That was Death Wears You Well with Road to Regression. They have a new album coming out in February of next year. You can check out all of their stuff on Bandcamp. Their Instagram is at Death Wears You Well, and they're on Bandcamp under the same name. Moving on, we have something quite special and exciting for you. It is an interview with a band called Secret Idol. They are on Instagram as secret_idol_band, and we had a little chat with the singer Secret. First of all, thanks for coming on. Tell me about Secret Idol. Like, how did it all come about, and when did it begin?
Yeah, so it's been, the idea for this thing has been brewing in my brain for at least since late 2023 is when I started really taking guitar a lot more seriously. And it's changed a lot from what that original idea was, because originally all I had wanted to do was play guitar. And then living where I am, it's really hard finding people that are really want to get involved in building a new kind of a project, So I was like, okay, well, I don't have a bass player yet, so I'm going to go ahead and write, these tracks, parts, and everything. Same with drums and everything, and vocals and stuff like that. And really, what I spent a lot of that, because I didn't start releasing music until mid last year. I spent a lot of this past year and a half before that, really just figuring out what kind of music do I want to make, what kind of sound do I want to have. And of course, my early work is really rough, I guess, compared to what I feel I'm capable of now. But that's what a lot of it, or I guess the general timeline of it the last year or so. But we didn't have an official name until probably February of 2024. And the name kind of just came out of nowhere to me, because I'm more of a studio artist, a pen and paper kind of guy, or at least is how I grew up. So that's really my bread and butter. So I was drawing different, names of logos and stuff like that, and I came up with the Idol logo, and I was I didn't really think about the word that much. I was just drawing something that kind of looked cool, and I was like, okay, well, now we have to go with that name,
Yeah.
And and that's about where we got the name from. And then I added Secret in front of it, because originally it was just Idol. And then I realized how hard that was going to be to find online because of the whole the Korea or South Korea Idol thing. I don't really know a whole lot about that, but I was looking at how many bands were named with that same thing. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. So we had a Secret in front of it, which is part of my my screen name online, or has really always been my screen name online, which is it pulls from another one of my influences, Daft Punk. They came out with I guess you'd call it an animated movie music video back in the 2000s for their second album, Discovery. It's called Interstellar 5555, the story of the secret star system. And my screen name online is, and I think it is on here as well too, is a Secret Star. And some guy was like, hey, why don't you just call it Secret Idol? I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So we've been going with that. And of course, it being a newer project in the grand scheme of things, I think about changing the name every now and then, but this just feels right for where I'm at right now. So maybe we'll get really big, and change the name at some point, but I think where I'm at right now with it, I'm really happy with it.
Is it just you, or do you have other people sort of, as part of the band or helping behind the scenes or what have you?
Like I said, so with how it started, again, with me, my original idea of just playing guitar, and then kind of, I guess not really forcing myself, but finding myself into different roles because I didn't have the people. Because really what happened is I had the music first, and then I found the rest of the people to be involved in the project. So I've kind of gotten to where I just do pretty much everything myself, and then my guys will just come in, and I'm like, hey guys, I wrote this new song, or, this or that or the other, and what do you think? And I kind of just go and do the rest of it myself still. We do have one song, though, that is actually between me and my bass player. He wrote this cool bass line, and we just kind of went from there, but that was really the only song. Of course, that song's not out yet, but that's really the only song that I would say we've done a lot of collaboration on. I want to get it to where it is more of the three of us making something together, but at the point where I'm at now, I'm just so used to kind of doing the whole thing myself, so that's about where we're at. I do have a producer though, a couple hours away. I've been working with him for a little while, and he's started appearing on some of my tracks as the producer, and everything going forward, at least for the time being, he's got his hands on at least the mixing EQ side and all that stuff that I don't understand a whole lot.
And what is the sort of lore and the story behind it? Because obviously you do have like a bit of a mystery and a bit of a backstory. You wear makeup, things like that.
Yeah, so really all I'll say as far as lore base, I want to expand on the ideas of what's happening, but as far as right now, we're just a crew of ghouls, and we just appear kind of wherever rockin' jams are needed to be played, and that's where we're at. So the whole thing with the imagery for me is every band, because when I was realizing or thinking, like, what do I want this thing to look like, around the time that, like, again, before we really even had any music out, I was thinking about, like, the theatric stuff like that, even before I really had any music to go off of. But I realized the thing about the bands that I do really love and obsess over is they've always got this big, like, theatric thing behind them, or really on the forefront of them, that makes, like, the music and so much more interesting to me, and it gives it such a different avenue, I guess, where I can, in my head, it's like, I can, like, when I listen to, like, Daft Punk or Ghost, it's like I can hear that person or that persona, you know, making this kind of music. And I've always wanted the same thing. I mean, I don't love Kiss a whole lot. I kind of their music is fine, but I love the imagery of Kiss, and it's just such an icon. So that's kind of where the look has come from, or at least the face paint has come from, and then the style has more so just kind of evolved from that point where I started doing the face paint, and then it's become like, what kind of outfits and what kind of stuff and what environment does this person singing the music, what kind of environment does he appear in, and then everything else just kind of like morphs itself around that.
Does it take you a long time to get ready when you need to do photos or videos?
Well, I'll say, like, when I'm doing my own makeup, I can get knocked out pretty quick. Like, if I'm rushing and not being super, super careful, again, depending, I guess, on what I'm trying to do, I can get it knocked out in like 30 minutes, but it is a bit of an involved process, because I do like to have it where it stays on pretty well. The thing I will say that kills me on it is because my bass player and my guitarist, everyone else, like, they've not been doing the face paint quite as long as I have, so I'll have to kind of do theirs. So I'll take a half hour to do mine, a half hour to do his, and a half hour to do his, and that's really what it takes, is such a long time to get ready. But as far as, again, just being me, usually like 30-ish minutes. But it is a bit of an involved process, but I do kind of like that it's not like such an instantaneous thing. You kind of, and you really have to focus on doing it with both hands. You can't really be doing anything else. So it gets me really into the headspace of, like, who I'm trying to be for, you know, whatever, you know, the shows or pictures or videos, whatever I'm doing. So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. I like that it takes a long time, but I also hate that it takes a long time.
Tell me about the track you want to play on the show.
Yeah, this one's really cool to me. I mean, I think they're all really cool, all the tracks, but this one is me getting back into making music with synthesizers. And really the whole thing with that is, when I started making music, it was a lot of, like, dance music and electronic stuff, like, really synth-based. And the guitar was really, really pushed back in the mix, and there wasn't any vocals at all. But then I kind of morphed into changing the whole thing and just ditching my synths and, like, doing everything with guitars. But this one is more, I guess, like, of a fusion of the kind of music I had envisioned myself making originally and the kind of music that I make now. So it's, compared to everything else, is really synth heavy. Again, not anything that's going to push away the rock audience that typically likes my kind of stuff, but it is more rotating around the synthesizer, and that's what I'm finding a lot of myself in at the moment. So I've got that song, and then a few others. I think my producer had mentioned he wanted to do an EP based off of this, like, the sound of Nocturna. So we'll see how that ends up going. But I'm having a lot of fun with having the synthesizers dueling with the guitars lately, and that's really for me, as far as what's happening in the song, that's the big thing. Of course, there's there's the classic, at this point, Secret Idol, huge choruses with like a ton of harmonies and stuff. That I think everyone will enjoy, and I quite enjoy myself. Nocturna is the name of the new single, but yeah, really, really synth heavy stuff compared to what I'm used to doing.
It's always the same, I've no one to blame for all my loss, but my wing escape is coming. And even if I'm blind when I lose my mind, all I want's to mind a sign of kingdom for the dying. All the young and old, all the strength and gold, come reach in the new skin. Nocturna, bring me to the night. Nocturna, your star is bright. Nocturna, your spell, bring me to life. Lost in your solace, confused and alone, and you think you're gonna make it till morning. And even in your castle, even if it's made of glass, if you can't leave the past, you will never escape my cries. All the young and old, all the strength and gold, come and reach the new skin. Nocturna, bring me to the night. Nocturna, your star is bright. Nocturna, your spell, bring me to life. Lost in your solace, confused and alone, and you think you're gonna make it till morning. Even in your castle, even if it's made of glass, if you can't beat the past, you will never escape my cries. All the young and old, all the strength and gold, come and reach the new skin. Nocturna, bring me to the night. Nocturna, your star is bright. Nocturna, your spell, bring me to life. Nocturna, bring me to the night. Nocturna, your star is bright. Nocturna, your spell, bring me to
Is there any like special meaning behind the song itself, lyrically?
Not particularly. I mean, I like to. I'll have like something in my head really when I'm like writing lyrics, but for me, a lot of this stuff is, and this song in particular, is just dedicated to the muse, quote unquote, if you're familiar, and just really this one being called Nocturne is like the muse of like the night or the spirit of the night, and just kind of getting lost in that bit of a dance with it, you know, and just being inspired and seeing where it takes you. And that's what I find a lot of my songs kind of rotate around, at least at the moment. Is just words will just kind of come to me throughout the day, and I'll just write them down, and then when I come back in later to, you know, just write guitars or just jamming or whatever, I'll just kind of go through my little list of little phrases that I have. I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. What if we did a song based around this whole thing? And it just kind of goes from there. And that's about what happened with Nocturna as well.
So do you think this kind of sound that you have going on for this track is going to be the future direction then?
I think there's definitely a place for it. I'm not sure if I want to make this. My thing right now is I want the sound to be bigger than what it is. Again, rather than just having the two guitars, and I can, of course, you can mix guitars however you want to and have them be really big sounding and everything. But I like a lot of the bands again that I like are, multiple instruments, like guitars, of course, guitars, bass, drums, vocals, and everything. But they'll have like synthesizers, organs, other weird stuff just kind of popping in and out. There's a band called, and I guess I'm getting off the track a little bit, but there's a band called Church of the Cosmic Skull. I think they're from Nottingham, over on your side. They have just a slew of instruments like cellos, Hammond organ, everything like in their music, and it's only got one guitar in it. And I just like think about how humongous the sound is. So I guess what I mean to say with that is that I don't know if the synthesizer is going to be the root of, I guess, the future sound going forward, but I think bigger is more of my answer to that, and whether that thing that makes it bigger is a synthesizer or an organ or a piano or whatever is kind of remains to be seen a little bit.
Yeah, so it might be the sound of the next EP, but it's not necessarily the sound forever. You want to try out different things and see where it takes you.
So yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at just as an artist in general. It's like I don't really ever see myself like, I know that I'm going to be doing music for a long time, but I don't ever see, like, when I think of like, okay, well, I guess some friends ask me, and the other bandmates ask like, hey, what are we doing? Like, what is kind of like the sound for right now, or like in general? And I'm just like, well, right now it's this thing, and next month, next year, next decade, who knows what this is going to be sounding like. But so I like to lean into that spirit of just allowing things to change as I'm interested and fascinated by different things.
That's all for now, but we're going to hear more from that Secret Idol interview a bit later on in the show. Up next, we have a track by a guy called Dan Higgins. Let me tell you a little bit about Dan, because he has quite an interesting story, actually. He's based out in Adelaide in Australia, but he actually grew up in Wales in the UK, so he's sort of emigrated over there, ended up meeting his wife out there and settling. He sent me a little bio. He said about himself, growing up in Wales, Dan's songwriting and guitar style has been heavily influenced by Britpop, 2000s indie and alternative rock, as well as the pop-punk music he grew up learning to play. Starting out as a teenager, writing songs and recording them on a 4-track portable studio, Dan has returned to writing songs in the last 12 months, utilising writing as a way of navigating and journaling the experience of becoming a husband and father in recent years. Armed with an ancient MacBook Pro, a microphone, and as his wife would say, too many guitars, Dan is sending his music out to the world to anyone willing to listen to it. So he has quite an interesting story. When he finished school at 18, he decided to just go out to Australia. His dad already lived out there, so that gave him a sort of opportunity to get set up when he first got out. He stayed with his dad for about a month, struggled to find some work, and he ended up enlisting in the Air Force. So he spent 6 years in the Air Force in Australia, and after that he basically settled there. He met his wife, and 10 years later, still there. And he said that when his daughter was born, he did quite a bit of self-reflection, and it dawned on him that even though he used to really enjoy writing music and playing music, he hadn't done any of it in years, and he didn't want to be one of those parents that talk to their kids about all the things they used to do. So he started making an effort to write and record and actually finish his songs. And this is one of those songs. It's called Returning. thank you to Dan Higgins with Returning. You can find Dan on Bandcamp, where he's under Dan Higgins Adelaide. All one word, Dan Higgins Adelaide, and that's Adelaide in Australia, by the way. He's released a decent number of other songs on Bandcamp, so if you enjoyed that, do go check them out. It's time for...
Chaos Corner.
Welcome back to Chaos Corner, the place where we listen to the weirdest, most wonderful, most crazy, most interesting, out there, chaotic tracks. I do accept listener submissions for Chaos Corner, and I actively seek them out, so if you've heard an unusual track this week, if you've heard a track that bends genres or stands out as being sonically quite intriguing, then please do let me know about it. You can email me, outcastfrequency@sonicscoutradio.com, or you can message me on Instagram at Master of Mischief Official. And for this week's Chaos Corner, I'd like to tell you about an artist called Scorpion in Reverse. This is a one-person project ran by someone called Nick. They started their journey as a kid who needed an art credit for school. They picked up band as a class, ended up really enjoying it, and then come 2020 when COVID hit, they found themselves stuck at home, itching to be a part of that musical world once more. They came across a YouTuber named Simon Servitor. He was the spark that generated their true passion for music production. But due to essentially a lack of confidence, they ended up putting off working on their songs, and they only just started doing it earlier this year. So the track we're about to hear is called Enter the Abyss, and it's a song off their very first EP, A First for Everything, which is an appropriate title, I would say. And it starts as a sort of distant, very spaced out opening, and as you get deeper and deeper it gets more chaotic, and then there's a sudden drop of darkness. So it's actually an electronic track, by the way. It's pretty vibey, it has loads of different sections, and I really enjoyed it. It's a very good title because it does seem to hint at the abyss. There's definitely a bit of darkness going on there. You can check out the rest of the EP up on Bandcamp if you like it. It was only released last week, so brand new music for you to go listen to. But let's hear the track first. It's Scorpion in Reverse, Enter the Abyss. That was Scorpion in Reverse with Enter the Abyss, and thank you to them for being part of this week's Chaos Corner. Now, that track, Enter the Abyss, it's off their EP, A First for Everything, and you can find and listen to that on Bandcamp. Now, don't forget, their name, it's actually Scorpion with a K, so it's spelled Skorpion in reverse, all one word, okay? Scorpion in Reverse with a K. You can also find them on Instagram under the same name, so go check them out on Bandcamp and give the EP a listen, and please go follow them on Instagram. Carrying on, we have a track from an artist called Matt Lewis. Now, his name is spelled Louis. Matt Lewis. He's from Brooklyn in New York. He tells me he likes to perform every chance that he gets. And he recorded this song, as well as every other song on his new album, over the course of 2 weeks in September of this year. He got fired from his job at a used bookshop in the Lower East Side of New York for peddling CDs of the demos from this record in the shop. I think that's actually a pretty cool story. That's pretty DIY punk of you, man. Like, he got fired from his job for peddling his own CDs in the used bookstore. But he said, I used that time to officially record the album with my longtime collaborator and worrywart Atticus Forstner. So, in the end, getting fired from his job kind of worked out for him. So it gave him the time and the sort of push, I guess, that he needed to actually go and record these tracks. So the song we're going to hear is called Realistic, and it is off his new album, Self-Unawarelessness. This is Matt Lewis.
She tried to tell me about everything she said. I wanna be a hero and crawl inside her head just before I. Must be something wrong with my mind. For once I tried to tell her about everything I said. She wants to be a hero and live inside my head just before I. Must be something wrong with my mind. I wanna fight you, but I'm too afraid to lose. I won't back down, but a boy like me don't get to choose. I wanna fight you, but I'm too afraid to lose. I won't back down, but a boy like me don't get to choose.
That was Matt Lewis with Realistic. You can find Matt on Bandcamp, where he's under Lou Matthews. That's Lou Matthews. And that track you just heard is off his brand new album, Self-Unawarelessness. Thank you to Matt for being part of the show. We're going to carry on now, and we're going to come back to our interview. If you were listening earlier in the show, you might have heard the first part of the interview. It was with a band called Secret Idol, and we were talking to their lead singer, creative director, songwriter, who is known online as Secret. He was telling us all about their latest song and how they started the band. And now we're going to pick up on the second part of their interview, and we will hear one more song from them too, which will round off the show nicely. Here we go for part 2.
What comes next for you then? Like, obviously, the single, and then after that?
Poked around at it a little bit, but I guess I'll officially announce it here, but we will have an album coming out October 30th. In addition to the single, coming out early October. But we've got, an album coming out, aiming to do a physical release of that. So we've been recording a lot of stuff for the album in the background for the past few months, in addition to putting out like a single here and there. But the fun thing with Nocturna is that I wrote this entire song after I had written the album and recorded the album. So the album's been recorded for about 2 months now, and Nocturna came out afterwards, but that's just kind of how things go. But yeah, I want to do, as far as like, I guess what the band is physically doing other than, again, the album coming out, we're going to start doing a lot more live shows, and that's really what I want to invest a lot of my time in, and not only building the more local-ish audience, but just, I've always envisioned this thing as a big theatrical performance, and I've held it back for such a long time. I mean, it's such a long time, in my mind being like the last year, but I've been holding back on like not doing a lot of live performances because I didn't think we were ready yet, or we had like the size of the group that I needed, because we still have to cut parts down just because there's so much going on. But we did play a couple shows in the past few weeks, and I've just been sitting here thinking like this, I feel like this thing, even in the present form, can work and give like a really cool sound live. So that's really what I want to spend a lot of my time doing, other than, again, putting out, more music. I mean, of course, we're all slaves to the algorithm, and if we don't put out one song per month or every week, then then we're a lost cause to the algorithm, as much as I hate that. But it is fun to kind of release things as I'm making them and just kind of let people enjoy, like, and involve them in, like, the development of how the sound is changing over time, because the thing I do like about having to do, or I guess quote unquote having to do monthly releases, is it feels like I'm more engaged with the audience instead of I make an album and then I disappear for 3 years and then I come back and make another album and then disappear for another 3 years. So it builds like a lot of intimacy with the audience that I quite like a lot.
Yeah, is that something you've been working on sort of social media as well? Yeah,
a little bit. I'm really active on Threads more than anything else, because I feel like it's basically like Twitter, but like less whatever Twitter has turned into. I like to be able to interact with people a lot, and even if it's not like always focused around what the music is and what I'm doing as far as music, it's building like a rapport with people that I quite like. And I've met so many cool people on Threads and on Instagram and stuff, even not even trying to push. And that's because I really don't like feeling like I'm like trying to shill my music at all. But I've met a lot of cool people, talking about my music, not necessarily shilling it, but I definitely like the community. And again, with what we talked about offline, I guess earlier, with the Discord channels, is that I really like that sense of community and having a group of people that we can just like hang out, and talk to each other about music and aesthetic and weird things happening in video games and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm definitely focusing a lot on the community side of it here coming up.
I guess it all goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Because if you build up that community, then you build up yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then hopefully people will, start engaging with the music as a result.
Yeah, that's always the hope, of course.
What's your sort of big long-term plan? What's your 5-10 year plan? Where do you wanna take it?
I'm hoping, so as far as like big music projects, like another album or anything like that. I really, as far as like a big project, I want a lot of time between this first album and the second one, whatever that ends up becoming. Because what I really want right now is to let the sound develop and let us as a group develop, and just let some time pass between now and the next big thing. Again, like I said, of course, singles and stuff. But I think I want to be fresh off of releasing our second album, something like that.
Yeah.
And then again, really, what I want this thing to really be is a big theatrical, performance, and really focusing in on that side. So I want to be playing a lot bigger shows. Ideally, have maybe 2 or 3 more people involved into the actual like live performances of that side of things, and just going all in on our performances and playing these really big, or again, compared to what we're doing now, at least playing these bigger shows. And my real hope is that I can get off of playing guitar live, because I feel like that holds me back an immense amount. But yeah, so really just playing big shows and bigger releases and everything. I just want everything from where it's at now just to scale up even more. And that's usually my answer to a lot of questions like that. It's like not really anything specific in mind, but I just want everything to be way bigger.
Yeah, so you think live performances is where you guys have the potential to really scale it up then?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, of course I can, pour more money into the music itself and put out more music more often and everything. But I think about, because originally this was going to be, or for a while it was a solo, like a solo artist project, something like that. And to me that's really cool, and I get to make music and everything, but it's just where I see myself like physically is on stage and performing more so than just making more and more music, because to me the performance is the point kind of all of this, and to get people moving and get people feeling something. And for me that's a lot easier to do in person, of course.
If you want people to know it's definitely not a solo project, you could always tack an S on the end, couldn't you? You ever thought of that? Secret Idols.
I thought about that a little bit. Well, because I think about stuff like that, like with back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and I think even now still people will do it, but how they have like bands like Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I thought about stuff like that, but I kind of like the idea, like, because in my mind it is like the secret idol. Like, it's not even talking about, like, the name of the band isn't even us as people, and in my mind it's a different thing to everyone. And that's kind of what a lot of the music is in itself is really trying to explore, is like, what is this secret idol thing for me, for you, for anyone, and what is the thing that is driving you and making you do the things that you do, and why are you the way that you are, on a deeper level, other than like, oh yeah, I'm just this thing because of this thing,
Oh, I quite like that as a concept, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. I find that sometimes the meaning to things will come to me afterwards, when the project is already like written out and stuff like that. Like, I'll have the words and have the, like, again, for like a song in particular, I'll have the words and the lyrics and everything, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And it's kind of going in my mind, and at the time it goes into kind of that Nirvana direction, where the lyrics kind of are cool sounding and they're hooky, but they don't really make any sense. And then later on, once the song is on my side done, and I'm kind of like just holding on to it, waiting to put it out, something like that, it's like, that's when I'm like, that actually means like this thing that I wasn't even really thinking about at the time. That's pretty weird. And I just kind of let the spirit of, I guess, creativity just kind of take me and just throw me wherever it wants to, and then I'll figure out what's going on and what it actually all means later on. There's this other song I've got called Odyssey that I've kind of like, it's been out for a little while now, but I'd kind of put it back in my mind, put it on the shelf, because I guess that's kind of the thing with like these monthly releases, is I kind of forget them. I feel like a little bit, it's like once it's out and it's done, and if we're not like playing it live, and I just kind of like, it just kind of fades away in my mind, and then someone in the band is like, hey, like, can we play this song? I was like, who wrote that? And then I'm like, oh, wait. And it's such a fun little thing that you just forget. Like, you invest, like, weeks into writing something and producing it, and then you just kind of, it vanishes from your mind. So it's a pretty cool one. It's a little bit in the same vein of, like, the idea of what happened, of what's happening in Nocturna. And it's a pretty cool sound, so I think you'll like it too.
Thank you so much to Secret from Secret Idol for being on the show and getting interviewed. You can find Secret Idol on Instagram, secret_idol_band. You can also check out their songs on all of your usual streaming platforms. I'm afraid that's all we have time for today, folks, but please join us again soon on the Outcast Frequency.